that answers the question if we're ever going to use Discord for game reviews. The answer is no. Because,
well, maybe if they ever change how their audio thing works.
Yeah, but I'm like, if I can't hear the theme music, then our cues get all screwed up. Anyway, yeah, it's just another week for Fragments of Silicon reviews. So this time around, we're tackling 2 games. First up is Gladiator, Sword of Vengeance. And after the break is Rise and Shine. But, right, so
Gladiator, you watched that Russell Crowe movie, right?
I'm like,
that is what I choose to believe that the actual name of this game is.
I'm like, it wouldn't surprise me if it started as an officially licensed Gladiator game, although, all right, so time for some background because you probably never heard of this game in both its initial release and, well, its release last year. Yeah, I'm like, it's actually taken a bit of time for us to get to this because, well, we have a queue, and it's just kind of behind in the queue.
Well, we did also only get the codes for this like a couple months ago.
It was just before Christmas, and yeah, it's like by that time we had games lined up already. But anyway, the point is we're finally getting to Gladiator: Sword of Vengeance. This was provided by the publisher Throwback Entertainment. So Gladiator is actually quite an old game. It was developed by the long-defunct Acclaim Entertainment way back in 2003, I believe. Maybe 2004. It was one of the last games they were released, if I'm remembering correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember knowing about this game back in the day, but I don't think I ever paid it no never mind. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what a lot of people did, because it's a game that's didn't I don't know how much it sold or whatever, but it clearly did not help Acclaim, because Acclaim went out of business soon afterwards. And this game, like many other Acclaim games, was picked up by an outfit called Throwback Entertainment, which we interviewed about 9 months ago at this point. Now, and we're going to have back on the program in a few weeks. And I got a contact letter from them asking if we wanted to review the game, and I'm like, okay. So let's get to the first sticking point here. This game is currently only available on the Windows Store, or rather, I guess it's in the Microsoft ecosystem, if I'm being accurate here. That is to say, okay, it is a game that's on a thing called the Universal Windows Platform. That's the file name.
Mm-hmm.
Which ensures that you are cross-compatible with Windows 10, Xbox One, and even Windows Mobile. And that last part's important because going back to the interview, I recall asking why, of all games, did they pick Gladiator: Sword of Vengeance? It's not exactly in demand. Now, probably less so now, but given that, like I said, this game doesn't have the nostalgia factor of, say, Extreme G.
But they thought it would run okay on mobile?
Yeah, that's exactly it. They said it's a game that would translate very easily to mobile, and having finally played the game now, I can see why. It's pretty dead simple.
Mm-hmm.
So Gladiator is a third-person hack and slash. And like I said, it takes a lot of, pretty much all of its cues from the Russell Crowe movie.
Mm-hmm. Sort of.
Yeah.
The part where you actually die and get brought back to life by Romulus and Remus is a little bit different, but...
Yeah, I'm talking more in, like, aesthetics and,
Yeah, the aesthetics are very that, and it still has the whole plot of The old emperor is dead, and the new guy is an asshole, and you're a gladiator now. You have to go vengeance. Vengeance is a verb now.
At least it's not revengeance.
I'm like, so it's worth noting that this game was like, it's easy to compare it to say God of War or Darksiders or any Platinum Spectacle Fighter. Just don't. It's not anything.
It's like the limping grandfather of that.
Yeah, in the sense that it came out before, but it's also there's no other way to put it. Like this game gets pretty repetitive, pretty quickly.
Are there that many? I mean, I didn't play that much, but I only found like 3 different kinds of enemies. Are there like more of those?
Yeah, enemy encounters will change and they will get tougher. I got about 2 chapters in. I'll admit that none of us got particularly far in this game. You know, due to it being Windows 10 and due to being like, I'm sorry guys, the gameplay here is pretty stale. It does improve itself, and
yeah, you have 2 attack buttons that do pretty much the same thing, and then when you press them in combinations with each other, sometimes your combo string is a little bit different.
Yeah, the thing is, challenge doesn't upgrade until you move on to a chapter. When you start fighting Cyclopses, that's when you actually start getting some actual challenge.
I assume there are a few different kinds of weapons, because you start out with these nice forearm blade things that are typical gladiator weapons, and that they are way showier than they actually look effective. But then once you die, you get a gladius, which is it's a little bit big for a gladius, but it's a pretty generic sword and shield setup.
Is everybody there?
Yeah, did someone? Adam dropped. Yay.
Ooh.
Okay, I guess, well, Adam's fixing himself. I should mention why there isn't, like, any, like, trailers or anything playing for this.
Yeah, I think we did mention this during the show on Wednesday.
Yeah, but basically, for those who didn't see the show, I can't do any footage for this because it's a Windows Store game. So I don't have anything that will let me capture that.
Yeah, the Universal Windows platform has the disadvantage of absolutely not playing well with anything other than itself, really.
Yeah, guys,
There you are.
I lost power again. Continue the review without me.
All right.
If we're still...
Okay.
I'm like, it's... If we don't... if I'm not restored... we'll do Rise and Shine tomorrow, okay?
All right.
Okay.
Wait, I'm back.
All right.
Oh, gee.
Well, at least it was a short outage.
Yeah.
So I assume,
Hang on.
All
I
right.
assume Adam still needs to get his computer back up and running.
He's on a laptop, but he has to wait for his internet equipment to reboot.
Right.
Yeah, I'm still on the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could tell the difference by audio quality. Anyway, we were just talking about the fact that Petty Fan can't capture from the Windows App Store because the Windows App Store doesn't play nice with things.
So yeah, that's why there's nothing really moving on the screen, because I didn't have a chance to go ask for permission to use a trailer, and I can't capture from the Windows Store. But yeah, this game is one of those you could tell it's from the early 2000s.
Yeah, I wasn't. It feels like someone was sort of like trying to make God of War or something, but they didn't have most of the ideas yet.
Yeah, it's a primordial God of War that's really, really slow.
It's a spectacle fighter without the spectacle.
Yeah.
Yeah, not quite as fancy, you could say.
I mean, it has a story, which is more
it's
than
like the
I honestly
closest it
expected
has.
of it.
I guess I should say the closest it has to spectacle is there are finishing moves on some of the bigger enemies,
Yeah,
and
which
those are kind of spectacle-ish.
yeah, and I never actually pulled one of those off because the way you get them is when you're killing an enemy and they're down to like 1 hit point or 0 hit points or whatever, their life bar turns red, and when it's in that state, you press the context button, which is the designated name for one of the buttons. And it's by standard on the on the 4-button setup, it's the right side button, which I find to be the most awkward one to hit, but sure, whatever.
Oh, I guess I should also mention if you're playing the Windows Store version, you can only play it with a 360 pad or mouse and keyboard. Go with a 360 pad. For the love of God,
Yeah,
go with a 360 pad.
I would not recommend trying to mouse and keyboard this at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, the context-sensitive controls are a little bit stiff too. Like, to do a lot of jumps and stuff, you have to be like actively mashing with the stick towards the thing you're trying to jump off of.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just like walk up to the edge and press the button to jump. You have to be. Anyway, I don't know. I really don't have a ton to say about this. There's not much to it aside from it has a story, which is a little bit more than I expected.
Yeah, I couldn't get into this
Hello?
game. There you are.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Okay. For some reason, it's not letting me connect onto the laptop. Like,
Interesting.
Weird.
but it's allowing me to connect over my phone. So, are we still on? Are we still broadcasting?
Yeah. I wouldn't
Yes.
have lost it.
Yes. Good. That means that things have changed on Skype.
Thank God.
Sorry about this, folks. This is what happens when you broadcast live and you lose your fucking power.
So yeah,
Yeah.
there's I don't know, we're running out of stuff to say, honestly.
Like, I honestly rage quit the
Where
game
was
because...
I before I got cut off?
I think we were, right when you, I guess, change of weapons?
All right, change of weapons. So yes, you do get change of weapons. From what I saw, well, I suppose this is a problem when you don't play the entire game. But I got an axe and I got sword upgrades. So
Do they do anything different?
yes, the axe is stronger, but it's slower.
Okay.
It's it's a typical dichotomy.
And probably near the end of the game, might get the twin blades back. I don't know. They weren't anything. They weren't like magic twin blades or anything, but they had some interesting traversal abilities. Like you could use them to slide down ropes and stuff that you might not be able to do with other things.
Right. Like, let's see. Yeah, it's hard to talk about this game because there's so little to it. You get down to it. I mean,
Like I said while you were away, it's like a spectacle fighter without the spectacle, except for some
right.
Finishers.
mediocre
it's also, like-
finisher moves.
Yeah, in terms of like exploration or puzzles or anything like that, there's nothing here.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is on a
so
rail.
Yeah, you're on a literal rail here. And that kind of goes into one of the bigger problems I had with the game. That being the camera.
Oh God, that
the
camera.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's really bad. There are times when you can sort of pseudo explore areas, and whenever you can, the camera is utterly terrible because it's a fixed camera. It's Resident Evil camera. It's a fixed camera that skips to other fixed areas that don't necessarily involve you pressing the button in the same direction to continue walking in a straight line.
Right. And sometimes that obscures your vision. Like, I got actually stuck at one point because I couldn't see a path that was hidden because of the bad camera.
I'll do you one better than that. After you get through the tutorial, during which you have no life bar, and you get to Elysium Fields or whatever, and Romulus and Remus tells you, okay, now you got to go back and do stuff because the guy who's the faking to be the Emperor now is not no good, and then they give you like you've got this little patch of the Elysian Fields that you can walk around, and it turns out that there are a few different things that you can approach when you collect things, and you can get something for that, and then there's one way that's the exact. I got lost in that area. Because there was one camera transition where like when you go through the transition, the camera is now almost facing the opposite way. So I think I was going back and forth between those areas and not getting to the part where the actual exit door was.
Right. Let's see.
Which again,
The graphics?
This is a pretty primitive game, just like historically.
Yeah. On that note, this game also has a problem with canned animations. Like, it's another sign that it came from the PlayStation 2 era.
Mm-hmm.
Like, certain times in the fights, I couldn't do anything until I had completed my animations or the enemies had completed theirs, especially that. It wasn't a big problem, but it was definitely, this was definitely something from like the early 2000s. And on that note,
I don't blame this game. I don't blame this game for being primitive because most of the stuff that games nowadays do that it didn't do literally hadn't been invented yet.
Right. It's like it's just one of those buyer beware things. It's a game that's about 12 years old here at this point. And it looks 12 years old. I mean,
I think they up-resed it a little bit, but it's not like a total HD remaster or something like that.
I saw some footage on YouTube, and it looked pretty comparable to the initial PC release. Of course, the PC release would have better graphics anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're looking for, true 1080p, it's not there.
No. And that's probably a good thing. If you made this 1080p, it would probably look terrible.
Like, I think when you boot it up, it defaults to like 720.
Yeah. Anyway, it's definitely a game that I see that would work well on mobile because how simple it is.
Although even then, you'd probably want a controller.
Yeah, I'm like, even then, it's still a PlayStation 2 game. I'm like, and more to the point, if you want to play this game on mobile, you can only do it on Windows Mobile, and this is more on, say, the biz dev side of things, but it can't be ignored.
Although we did see a publicity thing saying that it is, from their Twitter or something, saying that it is going to be coming out on Steam at some point.
Right. They announced not too long ago the game and other games are coming to Steam, which, is a good idea because the Windows Store is just a hot mess. Like, nobody wants to use this thing.
I don't really care for this game much, but my rating of the game would be better when it was available anywhere other than the Windows Store, just by not being a complete pain to use.
Yeah,
I mean, it gets put on your start menu, so it's not like it's hard to get to, but then when you use it, I have a 2-monitor setup, and the monitors aren't exactly the same size, so it does this weird thing where it takes up all of one of the monitors, and then I didn't see a windowed mode. There might be one. And it bumps my windows off of their normal positions to do that.
That's a Windows, platform game thing from the store. It'll do that. There's not a whole lot you can do about it.
Right, which is why I'm not... Well, part of why I'm not a big fan of the Windows Store.
Yeah,
it's like there's not... Also, signing up for the Windows Store and downloading this made me link my Skype to Microsoft or whatever the fuck, so not happy about that either, but...
I'm like, well, Skype is Microsoft, so it was kind of expected.
Yeah. No, but it made me link my Skype account to my Microsoft account.
I know. It's like we all had to do that. Like I said, look, the long and short of it is the Windows Store is awful, and yeah, we'll all say it right here and now. Wait until this game is on Steam or GOG or Humble or anything else. Like the Windows Store
Especially
is just the
if you
worst.
don't use a 360 controller, because
Yeah.
I mean that's probably the most popular controller anyway. But
Yeah, it's like I didn't have a particular problem with it because I had the right controller. I mean, you can't do a lot with Universal Windows platform that Microsoft doesn't want you to do.
Yeah.
That's been one of the inherent problems with the file.
Like, I tried
No.
to use
Which,
my
granted, means
PlayStation
that
4 controller, and it wouldn't accept it. It just would ignore it completely.
which granted
Yeah.
means that it's working exactly the
And
way
it's
Microsoft-
worth noting the keyboard controls are absolute ass.
Oh, God.
Yes.
I tried that
Yeah,
at
I
first.
didn't even try
No.
that, but just looking at the list of the controls for that, it made me wonder what the hell they were thinking.
Yeah, someone was not right in the
well,
head.
Yeah, it's like the keyboard controls were probably coded by the original, Acclaim developers. It's like, because
I feel like they're early 2000 controls.
Yeah.
it's because Gladiator came out initially on the PlayStation 2, Xbox, and PC. There was a previous PC version, and I'm willing to bet that they worked off of that.
Mm-hmm.
If that's not the case, well, we'll find out about it soon enough. Anyway, getting back to what I was talking about, and that was mobile. The only way to experience this game in a mobile space is Windows. The Windows Phone.
Yeah, if you're using a Windows Phone, which is not one of the top 2 and probably not even one of the top 3 most popular smartphone platforms.
It's probably it's down the list.
Yeah.
It's like, I won't say nobody uses the Windows Mobile because there are people in the universe who do, but the amount of people who do that versus say Android and iOS is completely dwarfed.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that there are, there would be issues on launching a game in Steam, iOS, what have you. The big ponds. You risk you risk being overshadowed by everything else. But the big fish in a small pond mentality doesn't really apply to Gladiator because, once again, nobody knows what this game is.
Yeah. This isn't like, some big old classic from your childhood, like, say, the Ratchet and Clank games were.
Right. And it's not even... It's not even regarded in any way. Like, nobody likes it, nobody hates it, nobody anything. And that'll get to my rating, which is a 5. It's a completely dead average game from the mid 2000s that got resurrected as, I guess an experiment for the cloud platform, and because it would be a workable game on mobile, but that's just it. In spite of its competency, it doesn't really have an identity of its own.
Yeah, it's not that it's a bad game. It's that it's a meh game, and currently the way to get it is not fun.
It's mediocre.
There's no. That's the review right there. The game is $10.
Actually, right now, it is $6 on the Windows Store.
Let me finish it. Yeah, it's $10. It doesn't really matter the price on the Windows Store. Just wait until it's going to be on Steam. When it's on Steam and at $10, this is an acceptable purchase. If you like this kind of game, you'll get your money's worth, because it is quite it's a PlayStation 2 retail title, so it's going to have a certain amount of content, that'll last you. But on the other hand, there's really nothing to recommend here. Like, in terms of this kind of game, I had my problems with it, but I'll recommend Darksiders 6 Ways to Sunday over this. Pretty much
anything
anything
it's a newer game that includes the developments in the beat 'em up genre that have made it better than when this game came out.
Right. And that's only at best $10 more. Now, finally, the music. The music's actually probably the most interesting part of this because, like, I guess they were going with an approximation of what Roman music would sound like, but it's
the music is interesting.
Yeah, it feels more Near East, like Persian or something like that. I kept thinking the Prince of Persia when I heard the pause music. Like, it's like, gotta admit, I don't have a lot of insight into that kind of music, like that they used here. So, it was nice and it was distinct. Which is unfortunately more than I can say for the rest of this game. So, yeah. Final thoughts on Gladiator.
It was
I
a
think
game.
I've said, it would have been a pretty okay game when it came out. Now it's just really not much particular. I mean, there's nothing really wrong with it, but there's not really much to recommend it either.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page here, and it's like I probably don't have to emphasize this too much because seriously, when have you ever used the Windows Store? Like, the Windows Store is that. Oh right, I accidentally clicked on that a couple of times. Store for me.
Yeah,
same here.
Like I said, I'm sure people have bought things from the Windows Store, especially like the Microsoft first-party exclusives. But each one of those have been a flaming mess on the Windows Store. Like, but that's a thing for another day. So yeah, Gladiator is an average game, which is actually probably on the higher end of the spectrum when we're talking about Acclaim. Like,
there's a reason why Acclaim went under.
Yeah, it's like getting an average game from Acclaim is actually striking kind of lucky. They made good games, they made some great games, but Acclaim was known as a purveyor of shit. By and large,
the 3D era killed them. They were not ready for the 3D era.
Yeah, they had some games in the 2D era.
It's not the 3D era that killed them. They actually survived that pretty well. It was the PlayStation 2 era that killed them because, well, they made shit games and they had a shit reputation. So, right, that'll about do it for this review. Stay tuned after I get off my phone here and we get everything sorted out for our review of Rise and Shine.